What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Dylan here, and I am back for episode 2, part 2, whatever you want to call it, ranking the best offensive players in the 2018 draft. Of course, Mitch has the defensive players. He did edge rushers last week, and I did quarterbacks last week, so you can check those videos out in the series. But today, I'm going to be talking about running backs, and we don't have 5 today. No, we have 10 to talk about because there is a lot of talent in this running back class. I think there are some steals that a lot of teams are going to be picking up and going to be using further down the line that might not be used right now in the first year in their rookie season, but they could be steals in this draft. I like a lot of these guys, a lot of potential, a lot of talent. We got a lot of people to talk about, so let's go ahead and get started. Hope you guys enjoy. Like the video, comment below your thoughts, and by the way, this is all 100% my opinion. I know this will be a little bit heated compared to the first video. I think there's some differing opinions as to who should be, number 2 or number 3 or whatever. So this is my opinion, and I'm going to base it off of what I saw on the tape, and I'm going to explain why here. So let's go ahead and get into number 10. At number 10, we have Notre Dame running back Josh Adams. The 10 spot was a little bit difficult for me. I was trying to fill that spot in, but I went with a guy like Josh Adams here. He can run in small creases. He's a little bulky. He's got some really good strides, and I think he's got a nice frame. There are some negatives that are going to hinder his performance. First off, he's pretty slow. That's one big thing to not like about him. He's pretty slow. He does have a lot of long runs. In 2017, he had a lot of long, 40, 50, 60-yard runs. But two things. One, he would get tackled from behind a lot. He was running down the field. It looked like he had enough room, and then somebody would come from behind at, like, the 12-yard line and get him. And second, he lacks burst. When you get off the line, he's going to lack a little bit of burst. That being said, this kid looks like he's going to be a 6th-round pick, so it's not like he's the highest on the draft board, but I think he's a guy that's being slept on. He should be getting a couple of looks. If teams want to add to their depth and pick up a guy like Josh Adams, I don't think it will hurt their team at all. Give him a chance. Could be a steal in this draft. I don't expect much to see from him, to see out of him, but I think there are some good qualities about Josh Adams. He's got a lot of long runs, like I said, and has some pretty long strides that could separate him a little bit. If he can get some speed up and progress a little bit, I think he could be a serviceable 3rd running back for a team. So at number 10 here, we have Josh Adams. At number 9, we have what I feel is one of the most underrated players coming into this draft, Mark Walton from Miami. I think he's underrated because, as you can tell, he is a small player. That might affect him in taking hits, which I think is a negative, but he has got some really good positives to him. I like the cuts that he makes. He will go one way and make a really nice decision to go cut back to the middle of the field. I'm not a big fan of when guys just cut to the right and go out, towards the sidelines and try to make a big play off that. But I feel like he has good vision when it comes into the middle of the field. He can make these really nice cuts. He's got nice athleticism. He's got good speed. I like that out of him. I think he got a little bit underrated because of his size and that there's so much talent in this draft class. I think he's going to probably be in the 4th round. I think somebody will pick him up there in the 4th round and give him an opportunity as a backup or a 3rd, running back situation. But I think this might be a guy that we've seen in later rounds, in these drafts, take charge and be a nice player for a certain team down the line. So Mark Walton, he's got some good qualities about him. His footwork is also very, very good. I love the footwork that Mark Walton has. So I think he's an underrated talent. I know these 8 guys above him have a little bit more draft stock, but if you're a team that decides we can wait a little bit for a running back and you want to add some depth, I think Mark Walton is a solid pickup in this draft. Or a solid pick in this draft. So I'm going to go with number 9, Mark Walton from Miami. At number 8, I have Nick Chubb coming out of Georgia. This will be controversial because he is low on the list, but I have my reasons, and I'm going to explain them here. The positives are that he is a strong, aggressive running back. I like aggressive running backs. Of course, we see the types where they can make shifty moves, and a lot of these guys are like that, but Nick Chubb is one of those power running backs that's going to get it done, and has some pretty good athleticism. I'm really impressed by his combine numbers. That really helped. Obviously, the quarterback one that I made last week was before the combine. But after seeing the combine this week, Nick Chubb really impressed me with his 40 time. I think there's some good qualities about that. That's obviously going to help him in his draft stock. He breaks tackles very nicely. He can continue the long runs, like I said. Can he keep up being the only running back in the system? Obviously, this past season, he was with Sony Michel, who we'll get to in a little bit. So that took away a little bit of his carries. Is he going to be able to hold up? We know his 2015 injury took a little bit of his athleticism away. In 2016, he's really struggled, so I feel it was a good decision for him to come back for his senior year, and he did very well for himself as Georgia went to the national championship game, so that's good. He needs the right fit. I feel like some teams are not going to be able to capitalize on Nick Chubb's potential. You need somebody that's aggressive. He's going to get you the first down. He's a third down running back for sure. I feel like Nick Chubb, given the right system, could be a very nice steal here. I put him at number 8 because I'm concerned a little bit about the injury and which team can fit best with him. But I really like the stock on this kid. This guy has the potential to do something here. And I saw it in college a lot, so we'll see how it goes in the NFL. So number 8 on my list, Nick Chubb from Georgia. At number 7, I have Royce Freeman coming out of Oregon. I don't think this guy is getting talked about as much as anybody else on this list, or at least from 1 to 8, which is weird. I think Royce Freeman has some really, really good qualities about him. First off, he's elusive. He's going to make some really nice cuts in the open field, and he's going to make the plays. He is going to score a lot of the time. That is one thing about him. He could have a play where you're not expecting him to score, but he still finds a way to score, and that's good if you're on any NFL team. He has good vision. He makes some really good cuts, like I said. He will work extremely hard to get the first down. That's one thing I love is the extra effort and knowing exactly where you need to be to get the first down if you're any type of player, but especially a running back because you have to get the first down most of the time, especially on third down, which Royce could be doing. And he extends and powers his way to get a first down, so that's good. I think he needs to work on a couple of things. I think his aggressiveness needs to get up there. I know he worked for the first down, but I think in first and second down situations, he's more of an elusive guy rather than running through a tackle. He's not very fast. Not very fast. Not going to hinder him as much as Josh Adams will, but I think he needs to work on that. Get through some cuts and all that, and just keep going, keep it powering. He played in college all 4 years, so there's some extra mileage there. In terms of how long he's run and will that sustain in the NFL, we don't know. But I think he could be a nice steal in the draft. I think he'll be picked in the 3rd or 4th round. And teams that might see a running back hurt in the first couple of games of this upcoming season might want to use a guy like Royce Freeman on their roster. So I think this could be a nice fit. I think Royce Freeman would be a good solid pick in the 3rd or 4th round. So my number 7, Royce Freeman coming out of Oregon. At number 6, I have Kerryon Johnson coming out of Auburn. This one might be a little bit unexpected compared to guys like Chubb and Freeman, but I don't even know people talking about Kerryon Johnson, and I think that's a shame because there are a lot of good things about him. He's very patient in the backfield. He is the best comparison I could think of in that situation is Le'Veon Bell in the NFL. He's not going to be a Le'Veon Bell type, but he waits for the best hole possible. He's going to wait for his offensive lineman to make the best run possible and get the extended yards. He has great footwork. Out of anybody in these top 10, he's probably the second best in terms of footwork, which I really like. A couple of things that I want to see. He needs to run more after contact. He's kind of a guy that maybe the first or second tackle is going to take him down. And he was injured in the second half of 2017. So, he was fighting through his way. He does have the heart because he did fight through his way against that the win against Alabama, which was very good. I much appreciated that. And he's a guy that's going to be a hard runner. He just needs to get through the contact a little bit more. He has the cuts, but I want to see him get healthy. I want him to go to a good team. He's probably a 2nd round, maybe even a 3rd round pick. But Kerryon Johnson, he's getting slept on. I don't see a lot of guys talking about him as a top-tier talent, but he's one guy that could be a steal for sure on a couple of good teams. I see that the patience is very key and that great footwork. He can, cut to the right and boom, cut right back to the left. Almost better than anybody else on this list. So Kerryon Johnson, I think underrated, a little bit slept on. Good stuff coming out of him. So number 6, Kerryon Johnson coming out of Auburn. At number 5, I got Rashaad Penny coming out of San Diego State. This one was difficult between putting Penny at 4 and putting Penny at 5. But I ultimately put Penny at 5 because I really like what the guy at number 4 has got for us. So let me talk about Penny first. He makes great cuts. There is one thing about this guy that I really enjoy is his cuts. If it's a 4-yard gain, he's going to cut over to the right and make it an 8-yard gain for a first down. He's extending the play a little bit more than you would think possible. And that's what I like about Penny. He's great in the open field. Once he gets past those first 6 yards, you're going to be struggling. You might be seeing touchdown all the way for Penny, so that's good. He moves around the traffic. If he sees that the line of scrimmage is blocked off a little bit, he's going to try to find that hole and squeak through, which is a good thing. I like the speed. It's not the fastest in the game, but I think it's pretty good. 2 things I have for concerns. He's not exactly explosive. I like the speed, but he's not exactly like the biggest out of anybody here. He's not the fastest out of anybody on this list. And also, he comes from a small school. San Diego State is not exactly the biggest school, but he did make that school more prominent in the 2017 season. So we'll see if he can compete with the best of the best here in this situation. But I like what I see out of the guy. He's aggressive. He's going to make those great cuts. And if you're great in the open field, if you're really good in the open field, look out. Like, teams are going to be scared of you in particular. So Rashaad Penny at number 5, I think is solid. You can put him at number 4. I've got no problem with that. But, man, a solid one that could be going, second round that I for sure like here. So at number 5, Rashaad Penny coming out of San Diego State. At number 4, I have Sony Michel coming out of Georgia. Yes, the second running back from Georgia. Ever since the Nick Chubb injury, Michel has had his time to become one of the best running backs in this draft, and he has made the most out of it. He's very flashy. He is a very flashy player. He's going to make those exciting long plays that people will put in the highlight reel. You saw it in the game against Oklahoma in the playoff in 2018, earlier this year. It was awesome. Like, this guy went off. I know he had that fumble, but he made up for it, scored the game-winning touchdown. Michel, he's very explosive. He's going to make those big plays that a lot of people want to put on the highlight tapes. If he gets open, he can make it pop. He can make a 12-yard game. It seemed like a 12-yard gain to a 25-yard gain, so that's great. He's a hard runner. He's creative in cuts, which is awesome. He played in the top of the competition since he played in the SEC. There's a couple things about him. He trips a little too often. I'm not a big fan of that. If he runs through, sometimes he trips on his own legs or the field or whatnot. That's not very good. But a good thing about him is that he didn't run all that much. With the shared time with Chubb, he doesn't have as much mileage as a lot of these running backs on this list. So he's very healthy. He's very fresh compared to, I think, almost anybody on this list. So that's a good thing for Sony Michel going forward. This is a kid that I would pick up in the second round. I think there's definitely some talent coming around here in the second round for Sony Michel. If you want the explosive, flashy guy, more than anybody else on this list, other than number 1, of course, I think Sony Michel is a great option for you. I think you're going to like what you see out of Sony Michel, and he made it work with Nick Chubb also being there. It's pretty difficult unless you're the New Orleans Saints to have 2 running backs in a system and be as successful. So Sony Michel, number 4, I think is a solid pick in the second round. At number 3, I have Derrius Guice coming out of LSU. I know some people will critique me on number 3 and number 2, but this is my list, so I'm giving you my reasons. The things to like about Derrius Guice, there's a lot to like about this kid. He's very motivated. We've heard about the backstories of his dad dying at 5 years old, all that stuff. So he's very motivated, and he took LSU by storm. Even with Leonard Fournette being there, not last season, but the season before, he still made the most of it. He's very aggressive. He makes good cuts. The best thing I like about him is his yards after contact. He is going to continue that drive until it's not physically possible. And that's something that I think in the NFL is very crucial. You're not going to just let people bowl over you and let it happen to you. I think the yards after contact is very impressive. He seems like the NFL type runner. Out of almost anybody on this list, he seems like the kind of guy you would picture as your create a character in Madden. Like that's the kind of guy you would want as your type of runner. He lets the offensive lineman make the plays, so he's going to be patient as well in getting the right hole. He has good size for the NFL, so that's good. Not a great burst, and the injury that he had last season, some of the injuries we've seen might be a concern, but I don't think it's that big of a concern. I think he'll get back from it, and obviously next couple of months he has plenty of time to get back into it. The motivation is key. You obviously want a guy that's very motivated, and in the running back class, I don't think there's anyone more motivated than Derrius Guice, so good stuff to like about him, the NFL-type runner that I do appreciate to see. I like it. So Derrius Guice up here at number 3, coming out of LSU, very top-tier talent, good potential, but there is a guy ahead of him that I know will be controversial, so let's talk about number 2. At number 2, I have Ronald Jones II coming out of USC. I know I'm going to get some flack out of this, and honestly, I don't really care. If you guys want to politely put the comments why you don't think he's number 2, that's fine, but just be civil about it. The things that I really like about Ronald Jones, he can run very well in traffic. There's going to be those plays where it's supposed to be a 4-yard run up the middle. You're not really getting any more than that, and he can still make those great plays to get a first down. Like, you're just like, wow, the aggression in him is great. The great feet, I think out of anybody, he has some really good feet, probably the second best in this list. On this list, he has great vision. He's going to see that the left side is closing in when he's supposed to run there, so he's going to go right to the back to the right. So that's great. I feel like he could score touchdowns that nobody else could, besides maybe number 1. So he's gonna do some really good things. He could start slow in games, but he is very clutch. We saw it in fourth quarters in the season, especially against Utah, where he scored that game-winning touchdown, the game-sealing touchdown. He can get off to a very slow first quarter, but once he gets into halftime and reaches it up, he ramps it up and makes some really good plays, so I like that. The 2 things that I want him to do, he needs to bulk up a little bit. He needs to get a little bit bigger, and he's not very great at receiving, but he caught 13 of the 14 passes he was throwing to in his 3 seasons. He just wasn't a target at USC, so maybe teams are going to be looking at him as a pure running back, but I think he needs to get a little bit more in the catching game. But he's very reliable. He only had 2 fumbles and 591 rushing attempts in USC, so he's not going to fumble the ball very often. This is a guy that I think is very reliable. I think he's going to get slept on. I know the 40 time kind of hurt him a little bit in the injury, but I like the potential coming out of Ronald. I think there's a lot of great things to look at that people need to be talking about. So at number 2, I got Ronald Jones II. And at number 1, who could it have possibly been besides Saquon Barkley from Penn State? This guy is being talked about as one of the best running back prospects in a long, long time. He has a very good chance to go number 1. So that is interesting for a running back because it doesn't happen very often. Of course, what you know about him, he's explosive. He has a chance to score on every single play. He's a great runner. He can catch the ball better than anybody else on this list, which is great considering whatever team he's going to go to needs that. He returned 2 touchdowns on kickoffs in 2017. I don't think they'll be using him in the NFL like that, but he can do it. He breaks tackles like crazy. I remember one game this year, you guys have seen it, where he hurtled over one guy and landed on his feet and then kept running to the sidelines. I'm like, how do you jump up, hurdle, get hit in midair, and still land on your feet? It's unbelievable. He goes out to the outside a lot, so the creative ways that he can run are obviously there. Maybe that's a disadvantage. He doesn't need to be running to the outside a lot. Maybe runs in the holes. But the guy's explosive, like so explosive, that took the world by storm this year. Like, it was crazy how much attention Saquon Barkley was getting this year, and made Penn State relevant again, honestly. So, with a very bad offensive line. Let's mind that. The offensive line for Penn State was pretty bad, and this guy still did tremendous. So there's a lot of explosion there. A lot of teams are going to like what they see out of him, and this is a once-in-a-generation talent. Like, you're going to have to go get him. The Browns are obviously number 1. If they're stupid enough to pick a quarterback, the Giants will go at number 2 and probably pick him. So If I'm any team in this league, almost any team in this league, I want to go get Barkley. That's a once-in-a-generation talent right there. So number one, of course, has to be Saquon Barkley. So thank you guys for watching this top 10 list of my favorite running back prospects in the 2018 NFL Draft. If you guys enjoyed, hit that like button. Of course, comment below your thoughts on my list. Was it right? Was it absolutely garbage? Tell me your favorite prospects, and we can, talk in the comments section to whether or not I agree or disagree. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View. This was the second part of my series about the draft prospects. Quarterbacks were last week. Obviously, you saw the running backs list. Next week is going to be the receivers list, which I'm not as big of a fan of the receivers class as the running back talent for sure. But there are some good talent. There's maybe some sneaky picks that could be used here. So check that out for next week. Of course, Mitch will have his defensive video up, I believe, tomorrow. So check that one out as well. Subscribe to the Bottom Line View for more great NFL content, and I will see you guys soon. So, no one on the Bottom Line View.